Shalom everyone. Instead of starting off my usual Shavuot Tov, we have to change it to Shavuot Tov, Shavuos Tov. So Erev Tov, Erev Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, good Yom Tov, Chag Sameach. May you all have an enjoyable, inspiring, penetrating, healthy Shavuot festival. Welcome to video number 95 in our Tilas Tells WhatsApp story group. I adapted and supplemented this story from a treasury for Hasidic tales, Parshas Vayishlach. I titled it Power Books. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, was called the Tzemach Tzedek, after the title of his book of Jewish law response and Talmudic commentary. He was renowned not only as a Rebbe of tens of thousands of Chasidism, but also as a leading scholar in his generation in both the revealed and secret aspects of Torah. Rabbi Shmuel Schneerson, the fourth Lubavitcher Rebbe, known as the Rebbe Maharash, was the seventh and youngest surviving son of his father and predecessor, the Tzemach Tzedek. In 1856, the Tzemach Tzedek sent his son, Rabbi Shmuel, to St. Petersburg on matters of communal concern. The night before the Maharash left, his father said to him, 15 years ago, in 1843, 13 years ago, in 1843, when I was summoned to the rabbinical conference in St. Petersburg, I went to pray at my mother's grave in Lyozhna. She told me that due to her self-sacrifice for her father and for Chasidism, you can find the full story about this in my story number 154. And because of her self-sacrifice for her father and for Chasidism, she was granted entry to the heavenly palace of the Baal Shem Tov whenever she needed. She asked the Baal Shem Tov to pray for me, her grandson, and to provide something to help me withstand the enemies of Chasidism. The Baal Shem Tov answered her, your son knows by heart the books Chumash, that is the 5 books of Moses, Tehillim, that is Psalms, and Tanya, a primary Hasidic text, especially in Chabad. We learn from the Torah that the sons of the patriarch Jacob were not harmed by the Canaanites because the dread of God was upon the cities around them. And the word the dread is, in Hebrew, is chitas. And these 3 letters that spell chitas, chet, tov, are the first letters of the Hebrew names of the 3 books. Chumash begins with a chet, Tehillim with Psalms with a tov, and Tanya also begins with a tov. One who is thoroughly acquainted with every letter in them, the Baal Shem Tov continued, every letter in these books, is granted the spiritual strength to shatter any obstacles that could prevent the revelation of holiness. Therefore, the Rebbe instructed the Maharash, whenever you may be, whether in government buildings or offices of ministers, recite a chapter each from Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya. You should know that since, I wish to point out that you should know that since 1943, in accordance with the strong urgings of the last 2 Lubavitcher Rebbe's, we follow the Baal Shem Tov's heavenly advice transmitted through Rebbetzin Devorah Leah and study Chitas, a section of Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya every day, daily Chitas. Shavuot is an especially propitious time to renew or initiate this practice because the Torah, Chumash, was given on Shavuot, the 10 Commandments by God on the mountain to Mount Sinai to the Jewish people. King David, who is the composer of Tehillim, Psalms, and the Baal Shem Tov, whose teachings are in Tanya, Hasidic teachings are in Tanya, both of them passed away on Shavuot. Many years later, when the Rebbe Maharash recounted his experience in St. Petersburg to his son and eventual successor, Rabbi Shalom Dovber, he added, the Chitas formula that my grandmother relayed from the best was a wonderful prescription. With my finishing the 3 chapters of Chumash, 3 Psalms from the book of Tehillim, and the first 3 chapters of Tanya, all the plans of our enemies collapsed. It was, thank God, a victory of importance for Torah, true Judaism.